All right, Savage Shamans, welcome back to the channel. It's Uncle Makara. Let's get started, okay? Make sure that you read the disclaimer and understand that this is all my perspective, all my opinions, okay? You take it with a grain of salt. Of course, salt circles will protect you, okay? Let's get started. So, today, I think it's really, really important for us to understand that I encourage you to voyage, okay? A lot of people who hear the term astral projection and these kinds of things, they immediately put an image of fear into the minds of fellow shamans. And I don't think that's a very um, positive, optimistic way to go about this thing. You're just inciting and putting people more with fear, like channeling is evil or like, you know, astral traveling is demonic, and you get these entities, attacking you and so forth. Don't get so caught up in the fear games and the fear mentality because that's not really going to help us, either of us, right? In order to just succeed and make it forward. So please refrain from saying that it's scary, that it's creepy, that it's intimidating, and influencing others based on your own personal experience, okay? Let's avoid that because I honestly had a psychic attack this morning. And I realized that it's whenever I'm going to do some massive healing, some massive, massive, massive healing is about to happen, whether it's with a very high-end client or with somebody who is, you know, really going to make a ripple or a change in this world, that these beings get threatened because guess what? Somebody without trauma, they can't feed off of that trauma. You get what I mean? So it's like, you got to understand that what I did was I took my crystal, I took my citrine crystal, and I could move the entity around with my will, with my intention, with my imagination, and then I slowly used it as almost like a magic wand, right? And sometimes I'll use my hands as well, but you can actually go into your visualizations and use certain things to help you stay protected. Salt is a very good one. Sea salt, we say for everybody. Okay. You got to have the sea salt soap. Okay. Go purchase some sea salt soap. Or if you're just near a beach, you can just go take a dip in the beach or just take some of that ocean water, splash it, or take some of that ocean water in like a little spray bottle, right? You could just go to the ocean, take a little spray bottle, just right? Use that and then cleanse your aura, cleanse your space, cleanse your altar, right? All the different things in your space and so forth. Okay. Now, you don't always need these little tools. I think the tools are extraneous at times. So you can get water, you can get ritual dagger purbas, you can get, crystals, you can get, some kind of maraca or shakers. Anything celebratory actually freaks out these beings. Um, Celebratory in the sense of like clapping my hands or like, like this kind of stuff. Or, or, or right? Whistling. Whistling is a very good one. You might have seen Sadhguru go, right, randomly in the middle of his talks. So there's a few people who know of this tech, right? This information, but the fear is actually brought about by ourselves, right? We are our only biggest obstacles here. So everyone has the same end goal, which we want to explore the limitations caused by fear. But if you have a fear, you latch onto the root chakra and then you can't explore the astral. See, if you have a fear of death holding you back so much, it can't kill the ego enough to actually be transferable onto the astral or etheric world. Okay. So let's encourage voyagers together. Okay. I almost brought back a very advanced technology once, but I remember that it might be used for bad intentions by people in the future, so I didn't end up taking it. I ended up just keeping it back. However, I think it gave me some ideas to create a more expansive version of that. I know we're slowly starting to discover that we have like a lot of our adepts have a past life in Atlantis and so forth. And so you have these water connections that just randomly seemingly seem to emerge, right? And also you have to understand how to really fine tune the creative channel of the mind, right? Like love is a law unto itself. So it's a channel of miracles that it almost transcends cause and effect, as Edgar Cayce would say, right? So if you make your body impure, you will not be getting pure experiences of love, okay? If you're filling your body with a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of gunk, a bunch of chemicals, you are going to feel the brunt of that as a shaman. Let me tell you, your health is going to be pivotal on this process and journey. Your metaphysical health, okay? Your physical health is fine. Maybe you have a good body and so forth. But how are you struggling with your emotional depth, your field, right? You're connecting with others, being able to actually shape things within your own reality, embracing your psychic gifts and so forth, right? So remembering your body serves as a shield, but in the astral world, you're unshielded. And so, yes, you are open to the darker sides of creation. Okay. And an astral masters knows that some people can get really one track minded when it comes down to astral travel, right? It's just about being aware and having the ability to recall. Okay, most of the time we don't recall astral events, but only have a sense of like we traveled, right? But it can boost our energies immensely and create much more leaps in our spiritual journey. We're saving ourselves years of a learning curve, right? Namaste. So if you understand that we can boost our energy immediately based on self-evolution, and we can understand that you have something called a scope, which is where you put your attention, right? Your representations and so forth. And you have a category. Category is like, let's just say some very interesting modalities you use or techniques that you have and so forth, right? So once you're really going into that identity level shift, especially when you're astral traveling and so forth, you got to understand that I'm connected to all of my guides that are there to protect me. Okay. If you just have your guides in your mind, in your subconscious, and you're already doing work to connect with them, and before sleep, you're really resonating with them and their energy and their field, they are going to help you and protect you. And especially if you just call upon them, and even their name should bring up a higher vibration, honestly, right? Because a lot of these masters, their names themselves, like if I say Babaji enough times, I'm going to feel a high vibrational frequency, right? Or if I say why do we say Jesus Christ, right? In moments where things are frustrating, right? Because that energy itself, it creates clarity amongst the chaos, right? It just creates the middle path, the center of clarity, right? Again. Or I wonder why we don't do that with Buddha, huh? Maybe people in Asian cultures, they probably like, Buddha, like when they're frustrated. But it's interesting, man, because a lot of the times we do this unconsciously in our words. It goes to show us that our realm is actually easily maintainable with our intention, right? But if our intention is kind of wishy-washy and we're dithering around, as they'd say, like back in the day, right? We're kind of dithering around with our energy in the astral field, then of course these beings are going to get a little bit curious, right? They're going to be like, what is he doing here? Like, what? What? Like, yes, he's a shaman, but it's like, hey, like if Doctor Strange was real, right? And in that way, and you could actually access these different things and powers. And you remember that movie with the what was that Avengers movie, man, with that witch woman who was creating like a circle of like to bring back like dimensional entities or something like that. I remember. Um, it was very interesting. It was very interesting that understanding. But anyway, what I've observed is that the whole silver cord thing, a lot of people get sidetracked and skewed in terms of that. Look, it's very simple, right? It's just the silver cord is the same thing as like an umbilical cord would represent, right? And so it's such a powerful understanding that if you can just understand that you are connected to this physical body through that, and you create like a power within, you can transmute any energy that comes your way, right? Any parasites, anything, right? How amazing. Lord Hanuman is also known to protect his devotees against foreign entities. Yep. His energy is amazing at that, and I truly believe he's connected to your root chakra, to Iraj, right? So demonic, ghost, psychic, parasites. Hanuman Chalisa is the ultimate encryption to create a powerful shield. When fear comes, we sit on that. Yeah, yeah. In our culture, so we call upon Hanuman to protect when circumstances arrive. Yeah, that's fantastic, man. And you can, again, whoever is listening right now, you can choose your own one specific being that truly resonates with you in regards to healing. Okay. So if you're more prone to working with a Yoruba being, or like a someone from Japan, or like Fudo Mio, right? You can figure out your own ways, but yes, Hanuman is definitely powerful. Shiva for me is very powerful. Um, what other energies? Padma Sambhava obviously is an energy that I use quite a bit for protection and so forth. Jesus's energy is one that I use quite a bit because it's too OP. Let's just say. If you're tapping into the real source of it, right? Not like the different transcriptions and like other people's interpretations, like from Course of Miracles. Like, I mean, your personal relationship with these beings, right? Yes, there's different things that the scriptures tell us, and it's important to revere and honor those, but there's also very deep stillness and an understanding you can get from them personally, one-on-one. And so just have somebody, guiding you towards this powerful journey. It's just going to make things way swifter for you. Of course, as I look outside, it's raining and there's a lot of thunder crackling and so forth, so you already know this is going to be an important video. And I don't think they want me to make this video, guys, honestly. At least the the beings who are like, fuck, there, he's on to us now, right? Like, um but anyway, I think it's important for us to just consider the fact that, energy protection is just the number one thing that we can tap into as a shaman. It's much more simpler than you're making it out to be. Okay, let's just say that. A lot of the fear can also become like a pair of goggles that we wear, like our own perception, and that actually stops us from, doing our best. Now, I'm a mad scientist, as you can tell, right? Like, look at my background that I set up for today. So don't do what I do, but get close enough to it. So just, tread yourself along at your own pace and do what you can. Okay. And I understand that if there's a lot of cultural upbringing or these different, dogmas, it's quite difficult to also move forward with like a freedom or a grace that comes from just you being completely a blank slate, right? And just being open to these altered states of mind or altered states of experiences, right? But I'm really trying to blend the metaphysical world with the physical world. So that's why peak performance industry is changing based on this, right? We're starting to understand it's not just about input output, right? It's not just about just pushing hard and the frequency and amount of times you do something, or the intensity that you do something, right? Yes, those things are important, but let's also understand that you are creating an energy with that, right? Every time that you take some action, there's some energy associated with that. And even something like restlessness is simply an overabundance of that energy that needs to go somewhere. Okay. It needs somewhere to go to. And it doesn't, you haven't given that excess energy a space to move through your whole beingness, right? A lot of people, they keep it very stuck, very trapped on one part. And if you just have the ability to just go through your chakras and like place it, sometimes it hurts, right? There's like tension on certain parts of your body that you might notice, like you have this clenching at the pit of your stomach, or you have like your throat going like this, like you can't express yourself, right? But you got to call it out in yourself, man, when this happens, right? Kind of got to challenge yourself a little bit. You have to be like, what's going on there, bro? Right? And you have to kind of allow the energy to pop, right? And do what it needs to do to set itself free. Because these blockages, what tends to happen is like a lot of the times, if like same thing with real life, right? Like if you get too sedentary in one place, it tends to create this kind of stagnation energy, right? But if you start shocking the system and going for like walks or like just breaking the patterns, right? Whatever way you can, you suddenly randomly go to a park and start grounding your feet. You go into the forest and you end up on a random trail that you've never visited before. You end up, going somewhere where you get access to a very holy temple or a religious place, right? That has a lot of high vibe energies, and you emanate there, and then you come back into your own space, and then you integrate the energy there with the energy that you picked up, right? So there's a lot of ways that you can go about this, but mainly I would say one of the things that you really want to do is you want to understand that my out of body experiencing as a neo shaman, as a savage shaman, as a priestess beast, my out of body experiences are simply not really out of body, right? Your body's still there, but it's not at the forefront of your consciousness, right? There's five aggregates of form, right? And I have to speak about this in a presentation today. Okay. Um, Hold on one second. So I wrote down the self we cling to is not a solid fixed thing. It's like a process, a combination of temporary phenomena. When we understand this, we can start to let go of the idea of a permanent I and see life as a flow of interconnected experiences. Okay. This is a part of my breakdown, but this is kind of what I've explored today is the illusion of the self through the five aggregates. Of course, the five aggregates are um, connected bunch of parts of form, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness, right? These skandhas are five elements that we perceive as I or me, okay? So like form is like our physical body, feeling is like our sensations, discrimination is our ability to distinguish or um, discern between two things. You can tell that the chair you're sitting on is not as the person sitting next to you, right? It's like, bro, you're gonna get so confused if that was the case, right? So you have compositional factors like your habits, emotions, desires, the psychological makeup, and then you have your consciousness, which is the awareness and the lens through which you process reality, right? So all of that, all of those five make up one I, right? Think about that. Your sense of I, your sense of self. And the self-cherishing actually makes you cling more to that I. It's like, I need to have it be exactly like this. Otherwise, I'm not a person or something like that, right? So exactly. I want to be in the body. I always felt out of body. Yeah. I used to listen to subliminals. I played as a third person video games a decade ago. How do I become the first person again? Right. So you have to actually start creating stronger boundaries between you and other people, because what tends to happen, especially if we're an empath and very spiritual, is we take on other people's stuff and storylines, right? And thoughts and gunk and stuff they tell us, and we absorb it. We absorb it into our own system, and it gets very scattering, very confusing, right? So doing some exercises, brain gym, or like bringing energy back, or just like doing energy releases, quick and swift releases, are ways that you get back into the body. A very quick one is simply tapping the body, okay? So either slapping it like this or using your fist to tap the body awake, right? When it's going very dissociative and when it feels like it just wants to go up into the crown, go up into the imagination realm, what you do is you take that excess energy and you kind of bring that feeling down, right? and see if you can hold that energy down and pull it down and let it emanate through your beingness. But the most important factor would be to establish that this is you, right? These are your boundaries, and you have to understand that your body itself is a shield, right? And so setting very loving, caring boundaries with others is going to be very, very key for this journey and process because, you know, a lot of people who are very in that state find it difficult to set proper boundaries with themselves, but also proper boundaries with other people, right? So the boundaries is number one. Secondly, I would say you got to feel more. Overthinking is under feeling, right? So to be out of the body, it often takes us away from this experience now into some other experience, right? And all you want to do through your mindfulness is ask yourself, what am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I touching? Right? So the heat from your tea or the eating something sour, right? Like getting back into your five senses quickly is one of the best and easiest ways to get into your body very quickly. Splashing water on you, right? Then you definitely feel it in your body, right? Damn, I feel cold when I put ice on my hand. Yeah, of course. You have a body, right? And so it's just a reminder of these things, right? Now, I think people try to bypass this by just doing what every other self-help entrepreneur is doing, like, And hey, I used to be like that too. Just blindly do cold showers over and over again. Just forget about it. Just blindly keep doing it, right? Great for your immune system, great, but what is the larger context that you're doing this, right? There's the content of what you're doing, right? All of these different things, but what is the larger framework or the context that is actually building up your energy body and your field and, you know, all your guides and so forth. So, yeah, watching too much short form content dulls your emotion as it changes your state too quickly. Yeah, it's true because it's like, and also a lot of the times we're unconsciously double tapping and giving our energy to those short form contents, right? It's amazing how some of these girls have really hijacked the system so much that they understand that people are tapping, becoming more disconnected, more away from their intimacy, right? And so forth. And so they're really embracing that like, ASMR type thing where they're going very close to the camera and speaking to you with like eye contact and like really, immersing themselves into the or they'll like pretend like they're moaning and like you're the one giving them that pleasure, something like that, right? Like I've seen videos like this and I've been like, whoa. Like on the surface, it's like, oh, that's kind of fun. Hey, hey, cute, right? But underneath, it's actually a dastardly plot, right? Like think about that. Like, wow. Like lost souls are being taken by these succubi, right? Unbelievable. Satori should do things suddenly without hesitation. Yeah, yeah. Satori experiences, right? Little lightning bolts from the grand sky of enlightenment, as I call it. Okay. So I had a 10 out of 10 blonde girl once. She tells me she can't feel anything because she used her vibrator too much from very early on. There you go, man. Right? Everything is made artificial. Everything is made so people become so numb, right? They become so numb to all of it. They become so saturated and overstimulated that you can't even have a conversation and connect with somebody. It's like, what does this world come to, right? Really unbelievable. The fact that and I get it. It's like now they have like double-headed dildos and like toys that are like look like dragon dicks and like fucking, just random stuff like that. And so it's like, let's start to actually work towards feeling again so we can begin trusting again, right? Because this is really what's important is that self-trust and other trust and creating that connection with others. I'm gonna go listen to Linkin Park after this. Yeah. It didn't even matter. Okay, so I would definitely say that in terms of out of body, and again, I've seen a lot of strange things out of body. Okay, let's not get it twisted. Like there's a lot of sort of weird and wacky things that go on in the astral world. Okay, as far as I've noticed, including the bunch of Agent Smiths that just stop you every time. Um, but besides that, it's a fun experience. You know, you really get to understand what's really going on. And again, sometimes you might just see these formless beings just floating around and they're very neutral and they don't say anything. It's just beautiful fractals and things like this. But then as you start going deeper and deeper into it, you'll notice you're getting more connected almost in a sense. Have you ever taken a heroic dose of something and then actually become empathetic as you're meant to be, like as a human? Like you feel for humanity again? Like it's a bizarre like understanding, right? So to heal it, we must feel it. Okay. We must feel it until it pops. You get that? So if you're feeling a lot of sadness, you haven't actually processed that sadness. You think that you've processed the sadness, but the sadness is still lurking, right? Still there in the background. So you almost have to invite it and let it do what it needs to do, right? The sadness wants me to sigh very loudly, like in a groany kind of emo voice, like, it wants me to do that, right? So I'll do that, but I'll exaggerate it. I'll be like, right? I'll take it even further than what my mind tells me that it's going to be like, right? And through the ridiculousness and the amplification of that, it just gives you your power back, right? I was seeing a student, a client yesterday, and he was saying something about like, um, are you always this antisocial or something like that? And then he said something like, no, I'm not antisocial, I'm asocial. Or I'm not antisocial. Like I'm just like, I realize that the world is like something, right? So he was trying to argue technically for his own state and his preservation of his own egoic framework in that moment. But if he had just been like, yeah, I'm antisocial, you can find me in that corner over there sulking, okay, or something like that, right? Then you just amplify it and you don't have to worry about like over explaining yourself because this is what a lot of shamans do, right? They over explain the process rather than just being and feeling into it, right? My feelings are slowly coming back, increasing the spectrum of motion step by step. Good. Feel the environment much more in the present moment. Good. Hey, Bariqua. Okay. So awesome. Awesome. Any questions coming up? Anything that you guys are interested in knowing about? I might end the live shortly. Okay. But yeah, think of this voyage like the hero's journey. If you ever look at the hero's journey map, right? Show you guys if you haven't ever seen it before. Okay. Yeah, let's look at Wikipedia. It's the best. So this is kind of like an astral travel map if you don't know it, right? You're going to get a call and you're going to be pulled towards doing this in some way, right? And usually it requires some kind of a supernatural aid that might help you get there, right? Like this supernatural aid element is almost like it can be so many things, right? It could be an event that you go through, an epiphany, a Satori experiences, some kind of a shock to the system, an accidental Kundalini awakening, an accidental astral travel, perhaps you're dreaming, you're lucid dreaming, you wake up in the middle of the night and then you start just going into it, right? Or it could be like from a substance or some kind of thing that you're eating, or sometimes when food hasn't been digested in the stomach, nightmares and different things form because it's still digesting, right? It's creating all this imagery from the food and the trauma of the food that you've eaten that's been killed and so forth too. So it's like that energy comes up too. So it's important that, you go to sleep kind of with a pretty empty stomach, I would say. Not like, of course, midnight snacking here and there is fine, but just try and see if you can embrace that and understand that if you do get a lot of nightmares, one thing that I would highly recommend is if you're getting nightmares, I would tell you to rehearse your nightmares. If you get one repetitive nightmare over and over again, use the Neville Goddard revision technique of like revising the nightmare and like have the nightmare end as a super positive or a super neutral thing, right? End the nightmare in a sense. So it's like this dragon is chasing you, as he comes closer to you, you realize he's not a huge dragon. He's like a little lizard thing, right? Like a little Godzilla, but he's tiny. He's like cute. He's like a little, I don't know, Funko Pop thing, right? He's like, hey. Okay, so make the nightmare, okay, into something funny. Sort of like the Bogart from Harry Potter, right? If you guys have ever heard of that. Anyway, Threshold Guardian, there's sometimes these blockers, okay? They test you in the beginning. They'll ask you some questions, perhaps. Um, I've experienced this block, the Threshold Guardian, right? It's like for instance, we were talking about Ganeshaji, he's the guardian of the root chakra, right? So think about that. Imagine that there's a guardian of the astral, okay? And the guardian is honestly your own psyche, but to categorize it and classify it as a character that you can personify and see will be very useful to actually speak to it, right? And let go. Now, as you begin from the known to the unknown, there's going to be this kind of challenges and temptations, right? Different things you'll be like, ooh, maybe I just want to explore this realm a little bit. Maybe I'll go here, you know? Usually something happens where you experience a revelation. Okay, something gets revealed to you, some rebirth happens internally. You transform, there's atonement, right? There's repentance, there's reconciliation. And then you get back with the gift of the goddess, which is the Shakti activations that you've gotten, but mainly it's the elixir of life, right? It's the life force energy that you've returned with, and the pieces of knowledge that have become wisdom, right? So they've been activated forms of the wisdom. This is actually a very interesting map. And if we see this thing, right, there's like different stages are called different things. Ordinary world, call to adventure, refusal of the call, right? So usually we face some resistance before we're about to go on the journey. So it's expected, okay? It's expected that you're going to be like, I want to pay from Primal Sutra and be an adept. Suddenly some weird, resistance shows up. And then you meet with a mentor, and then you cross the threshold, and now you're like, damn, I tried something and I failed. I met the allies and I got some new skills. I had my first success. And now you're just like discarding the old self, right? Accepting the new role, now taking the road back and stepping up to the final boss, right? Call to adventure, refusal to call, meeting the mentor, crossing the threshold, okay, and going through. So this is kind of similar. This is actually a map to astral travel, but it's also a map towards all these other journeys, right? I mean, look, they did this with I think Lord of the Rings, right? Oh no, they did it with all these characters, right? So it's like you see Voldemort here, you see Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit guy. Yeah. So very interesting. Okay, very interesting. And I love how it's drawn as a spiral too. Because it really is. The journey is like a spiral, huh? Okay. Damn, they call this apotheosis, really becoming God, becoming godlike. Okay. Wild, right? So Joseph Campbell had some things going for him, and I think honestly he was able to break this down through this technology, right? Hero with 1,000 faces, or however he experienced it. But yeah, this is interesting, right, guys? If you've never heard of this before, you might find it fascinating. Now, different people are on different parts of this journey too in their own life. So it's not only an astral travel map. Like, let's say that someone's taking a road back from a really big transformation, and you're speaking to them like they're still on the call to adventure, right? They're not going to resonate with that, bro, right? They're on the road back, right? I'm on the road home, right? That's what they're singing. And you're giving them like Time to go on an adventure. Dun, 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 dun. It's like two different songs, right? And it's like the worlds can't meet. So with anybody, you got to understand what is their world? Where do they live really? What is their happy place that they go to in the metaphysical, you know? To understand that, you can really start to create more better social connections. We are at social September, right? So this is powerful too. Okay. Um, okay, let's answer some of these questions. Yeah, let's answer some of these questions, go through it. I feel the environment. Okay. How has your healing journey been? How do you absorb energy from high vibrational places, like through energy alchemy? Mhm. Sometimes I imagine that I'm just taking the energy and it's going through my either the bottom of my feet. Let's say I'm standing in a Shiva temple, right? And by the way, I went to a Shiva temple once and there was like resonating, like a ooh, like the Dolby music, you know, the of the theater, that sound. That was coming from underneath the temple. And I was going, wait, is this normal? Like, I don't know. Is there an earthquake, right? But it was vibrating with energy, right? So I just took that vibration, I just imagined it going through up my feet, my calf muscles, my knees, my legs. It's going up and then it's slowly interconnecting through my chakra points and then it reaches my crown. And I just did this little visualization doing I forgot which mudra I did then. I did a specific mudra, I remember. Maybe it was Shakti mudra or something, or could have been this Shakti mudra. Or Gyan mudra to install spiritual information from a place. So just very easy. Thumb to index finger and three fingers out like this. Okay. And you just put it on your lap, or you can just hold it. Like even if you're in a car and you want to like get the downloads of a place you're passing, you just put in Gyan mudra, right, to download it. It's also good to natural ground, which is a technology that Rion suggests. And basically that's like a Shakti meditation. So pull up a video of like somebody who you're very interested in, they're very attractive, but try not to react to them, right? Just hold your frame and just hold the space. Just don't do anything as that's happening. Okay. So that's one way to do it with people. Now, with environments, I would say, hmm, it depends. Like if there's a gift shop or something there, I'll check if there's any objects that resonate with me, and I'll bring a piece of that back or I'll integrate it through there. Sometimes I will even ask my guides to help me in different venues, locations, or places where I'll be able to most make use of that energy, right? Like the best things to do if you're in nature is to simply you'll get inspired to like pick up a flower or like a stone or something that looks pretty to you or something that it'll just resonate with you, right? Because again, every single flower is connected to a different being. Every single rock is connected to a different being. If you guys didn't know this, this is very, very common, right, for us to understand. So imagine now you're walking through a botanical gardens or a biodiversity kind of field, right? And you're just going to get all of the downloads from all of those beings that through all these different styles and kinds of flowers, right? So that's always a good one to do if you're working with nature magic, especially, right? And usually you can just take a flower, you know, you put it in the pond or something, or you mix one element of nature with another element. I remember when we were in Costa Rica, we went to these waterfall area and basically we had found this like very interesting stone. Then we just threw the stone into the water there. Okay. And it brought us some great attunements actually, right? As it's like a to go offering, right? If that makes sense. So you're offering as you're just moving and improvising along. It's very, it's a quick shift and it's a powerful shift. And my healing journey has been amazing, bro. It's been very up and down in the beginning parts of it just because I was rusty, you know, but then I got incredible mentors, incredible shifts that have happened. I got out of a very toxic relationship. I think that was my one of my biggest wins. And I had really, really worked on my inner world and my inner self during that time. It was very powerful and empowering, right? I feel like some places strengthen you and some places drain you. So how do you do it? Okay. হ্যাঁ আসছি একটু পরে আসছি. Okay. So there's certain places that drain you. Hmm. Yeah, it's sometimes it comes from the chemo signaling, I would say. So like let's say they leave a chemical residue or like a bad event that happened there in that environment or something that you're picking up on. Okay. So generally it would be a good if you carry charms with you, that's a good idea. If you carry a sigil with you that's protective in your wallet, that's a good idea. Find ways to revitalize your energy, listen to a quick, raise your vibration sound or something like this, right? So this is kind of what I do in the moment, but then I'll always notice that it's up to me to change the energy around and move it to where I want it to go, right? So that's how I want you to really imagine and work with this energy. Okay. All right. I got to get going, guys. Unfortunately, but this was a great talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have an incredible day. May the flow be with you. Stay legendary. You got this. We got this. Upward spiral gang. We're all going to